Good morning, everyone. Glenda Mollet from In My Craft Room. We're going to be stamping a card today using the Best Catch bundle. If you need to get a hold of me, there's my email address. And if you're planning on putting an order in, please use my current host code. That just helps me have all the fantastic giveaways that I have. Which reminds me, last week I said I would give away a wood mount case and a package of the Butterfly Gala designer paper from Celebration to anybody who liked, commented, and shared my video from last week. And congratulations, Yvonne, your package is waiting for you. This designer paper, there's 12 sheets of 12 by 12 in there, and it's full of butterflies, and most of the sheets coordinate with our butterfly duet punch. So we'll get this off to you. Congratulations, Yvonne. Good morning, Valerie. I'm just going to get this video up on my computer so I can make sure it's oriented properly. And I'm just waiting for my computer. Meanwhile, you can have a look at the card that we're going to make today. There's the card. I cased it from my friend and fellow Canadian demonstrator, Tamara Bertram. It uses a piece of the Grapefruit Grove foil from Celebration. Look at that holographic effect. The fish changes color. Don't you think it looks a lot like fish scales? All right. Me too, Val. I'm going to Powell River on June the 9th to do my customer appreciation new catalog launch tea party. Ooh, that's a big name. And if you live in Powell River and would like to join us, please give me a shout. Send me an email so I can make sure I have the making tape kits ready for you. I'm also doing my catalog launch in Port Alberni on Monday, June the 3rd from noon till 3 or 6:30 to 8:30. And I'd love it if you could drop in. We have the new catalog. Just let me find it here. Uh-oh. What did I do with my catalog? Oh, there it is. It's open because I was creating with... Oops, can't show you that. Sorry, I forgot I can't show you the inside pages. Oop, my bad. I can show you the cover, though. So there's the cover of it. So there's a new stamp set called Over the Moon. Look at this. Look at those cute cows. Oh, I had so much fun yesterday. And I know you guys have been seeing a lot of stuff from other demonstrators that they're using these new products and making cards. But I choose not to share anything until the day of my catalog launch because I like it to be a surprise, a pleasant surprise. So if you'd like to come to our launch on the 3rd, send me an email and let me know so I can make sure I have packets ready for you. And you'll get your very own copy of the catalog. Okay, let's get started. So, as I said, this one's from Tamara Bertram. And here's the recipe. We're going to use thick Whisper White, Mossy Meadow, Early Espresso, and some Whisper White, as well as Grapefruit Grove foil. And I'm going to show you a bit of a trick to get an orangey hued piece of foil, even if you don't have the Grapefruit Grove foil from Celebration. The ink stays on a memento, and we're using the Mossy Meadow marker on the inside. And the Stamparatus, because this being shiny and smooth, you have to use Stays on it because the other stuff won't dry. and you get a big mess. And you know, when you're stamping on anything that's smooth like that, you can have a tendency to put your stamp down and then it moves a little bit. So by using the Stamparatus, that won't happen. And I'll show you a couple of tricks to making it line up. You can actually die cut the fish first and then stamp it if you want, rather than having to line the die up. And we have some of the bulrushes, and I followed Tamara's card exactly, and she put little brown ends on hers. But you don't have to do that. I'm going to show you a trick with a Stampin' Blends marker. And that's thanks to Penny at my seniors group yesterday morning. She said, I don't want to do that fiddly stuff. Can I just use a marker on the end? Guess what? It works. So thanks, Penny. I appreciate that tip. I learn all the time too. Okay. Put that over there. Make sure it's still in the... Oops, cough. My apologies. Oh, and I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Uh-oh. Because I usually end up with calls while I'm doing this. So we'll just have to go fast before I get a call. So we have the thick Whisper White card base, a piece of 5 1/4 by 4 for the inside. And I don't know the measurements for the other one, so just let me get the recipe out, and I'll show you the inside while I'm at it. So there you go. And the envelope is the same. Somebody said you should stamp the hook and put it there. Oh, forgot. But you know what? That's an awesome idea, and there's a die for the hook that we can do that while we're here. Okay, so Mossy Meadow, 4 7/8 by 5 3/8, and then a couple of 3-inch slices to cut out your bulrushes. And then if you're going to do the early espresso ends, you need a 1 1/2 by 5 1/4 piece to cut those out. Whisper White goes on here, and it's 4 5/8 by 3 3/8. A piece that is 2 by something to do the sentiment on, and the piece of foil, which is 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. Okay, so I've already got my bulrushes cut out. So I just want to put the recipe out of the way here for the time being. So now let's color the end of the bulrushes. Instead of, I'm just getting a piece of scrap paper out from underneath here so I don't get early espresso marker all over my grid paper. Don't you love that grid paper? Isn't it pretty? Look. Ooh, ah. I know I'm crazy. Okay, so the regular Stampin' Right marker. These are the water-based ones, not the Stampin' Blends. And all you have to do is just color the end of it. It's easier if you put it down. Then you can get good coverage. If you use the side of your marker, you'll get better coverage. See, it works. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? And it doesn't take too long. It's sure a lot quicker than cutting them out and having to piece them on. But if you want to cut them out, put a little bit of tear and tape on the back of your cardstock where these are going to be. And then when you cut them out, you already have adhesive on them. You could use adhesive sheets too, but they're sold out and we can't get them anymore. There we are. So that didn't take too long to do those. All right, so those are ready. So now let's deal with the fish. I have a couple of pieces here. So what I did was I took my dark Cajun Craze Stampin' Blends and just did a swash over top of the foil. This is copper foil. Just like this. It's quick, it's easy. Now I'm just going to let that dry for a bit, and we're going to stamp and cut out the fish out of that. So here's my Stamparatus. I already have it set up where I want it to stamp. And you can do this a couple of different ways. I'm just going to use this scrap here to stamp it, so you know, I'm just using a little bit of tape to hold it in place there. Over a bit. You can just stamp it and then die cut it, and I'll do that on this piece, and then I'll show you. There we go. I'm going to show you how to die cut and then stamp because it's easy. Okay, so I need my StazOn ink, and you use this because it's waterproof and it's made to use on non-porous surfaces such as the foil. And when you're inking up, you do the little rock and roll thing here to get lots of ink on there. But the beauty of the Stamparatus is if you don't get enough ink, all you do is re-ink it and start all over again. So there. Push it down firmly. And then lift it gently. There we are. Look at that. Perfecto. No slipping and no sliding. All right. So we're going to do the same thing for this, for the piece I colored, but we're going to cut it out first. So now this one is ready to go. Okay, I can't use that piece because it won't fit in the hole that I've got cut in there. I used the wrong end. They both work, but the brush end works a little bit better in this case. And you hear it squeaky, squeaky, squeaky. And I'm not worried about getting total coverage. I'm just making sure that I've got some good coverage. Now we have to let that sit for a bit. So while I'm letting it dry, I'm just going to give this cut this one out with the Big Shot. So I have the magnetic platform here. And just take time. And remember, when you're doing these die cuts, the longer you take to set it up, the better it's going to look. Our current dies, when you set them up, there's a space all the way around the edge because the dies cut right on the edge of the die itself. So there's the cutting ridge right there. The new ones, the cutting ridge is in a bit, so when you line it up right on the edge of your stamped image. There's no right way and wrong way, there's just different ways. So I'm just cutting out this fish with the die. Get rid of that. And there's the fish. Now this is a really cool die because it cuts out these fins. And you can make them pop up, and I'm going to show you a trick on how to do that. Okay, so this one's dry now. So I'm just going to cut. Let's see how much. Oh, I'm trying to remove another piece of the foil. Because I need to stamp it first. Put it in the hole. I still have my tape there. So put your paper in the hole like that. Now we'll ink up the fish. And you have to have a template to start with. So if you, this is if you're going to make a whole bunch of them. Or you're not good at lining things up. Oh, I didn't stamp his tail. Apparently there's no ink on it. There we are. And see, you can just go back over top of it because I hadn't moved my paper yet. Okay, now I'm taking the paper out. This has to dry a little bit before I can die cut it. So while we're waiting, I'm going to stamp the sentiment in Memento ink. And it says, "It's your day." And this is from the stamp set. There we are. Cover that back up before I end up with black all over my black clothes. So this is the bundle that we're using. It's called Best Catch. It's a perfect bundle for any of the people in your life who stamp, or who fish. Sorry, who stamp. I stamp. Other people fish. It comes with a Catch of the Day dies and Best Catch stamp set. And you can get this as a bundle from now until the 3rd of June. And then as of the 4th of June, you can still get these products, but they're not bundled anymore, so you won't save the 10%. We're also going to be using the smallest square from the Stitched Shapes dies. Now these come with, I don't know why I started playing with that. Comes with circles and ovals and squares, and we're going to use the square one today. So I'll just get that out and pop it on the Big Shot. And run it through once I get it lined up. Alrighty, there we go. So now let's take our fish. And there's a wow in there in the center, so just flip the plate over, and then it helps it to go back to being flat again. Alright, lining this up so we get a really nice cut on it. And I'll put that through the Big Shot as well. This is just one of those cool Stamparatus tricks. There we are. So there's the fish all cut out. Oops. I threw away the piece I need. So this I'll save for another project. And I'm going to put the piece I threw away. Really? Oh, there it is. Okay, so now it needs to go in like this because it has to line up with that fish. And now I'm just going to die cut a fish out of this piece that I use the blends on. It doesn't have to be in the center or anything, just wherever you want it to be on your paper. And give it a cut. So now we have a die cut image, and see, it has kind of, this one turned out rather stripy. And you just fit it back in here like this. And I still have the tape in there. Now ink up my stamp with stays on. And press it down, and here's where you pray that you did it right. That the paper didn't move and everything is copacetic. Okay, slowly lift it up and look at that. Look at that. Then it's a little difficult sometimes to get the image back out. And I don't want to touch it because it might be wet. Just slowly releasing it from that tape. There we are. So there's one that's already cut. You don't have to spend all those hours lining things up, except for the first one. So here's the orangey piece that I colored. It has a bit of an orange tint. And there's the copper one. Isn't that cool? Now you could go ahead with your blends and you can do some more coloring and shading on that fish if you want. And here's the holographic one. So there's the difference in it. this is no longer available, and lucky you if you have some in your craft room. I do, and I'm not getting rid of mine. Okay, so we're going to layer. I didn't put my tape on my dispenser yet, so I'm just going to do that now because it's a lot easier to use it on my dispenser. Okay, so we're going to put the white cardstock onto the Mossy Meadow cardstock. And don't worry about that little edge that sticks up. I'm going to wrap that back on itself. And we're not doing any stamping right on the background this time. So I'm just taking the liner, pulling the liner up to do the rabbit ears, and I'm going to fold that back so it's out of the way. Now we'll see if I can get the rest of them up. As you know how it goes when you're on camera. I stopped? What did I stop? Am I still going? I stopped? What did I stop? Oh, okay. Apparently it started up again. I was just looking at Val's comment there that said I stopped. I hope you're talking about I stopped doing something rather than the video stopped. We're just going to layer this on here like this. Oh, it's going to be one of those days I can't get anything straight. Now we're just going to gently pull the rabbit ears off. And there we have that ready to go. I'm going to do the same thing on the back of the Mossy Meadow piece. This is Terran tape I'm using, if you're wondering what kind of adhesive. This is a very strong adhesive. I know a lot of people use Tombow glue on their videos. Excuse me. I don't particularly enjoy putting my cards together with Tombow because I get Tombow everywhere. When it's little itty bitty teeny weeny dots, I can do it. I have good control over where it goes and how much it goes around my extra space. But when I'm doing large areas, yeah, not so good. So I choose to use Terran tape. Okay, now we're going to line this up on here. Get it centered best I can. And pull the rabbit ears off. There we are. All right, now we need the bulrushes. And one is going to go up here. And one is going to go over top of it. Just make sure you don't hang out past the edge of your card, or you're going to have issues putting it in your envelope. And then this is going to go down here like this. All right, so these are not popped up. So now I'm going to use a bit of Tombow. Get my card out of the way so I don't have glue everywhere. Oh yeah, whoops, see what happens? And it's putting some Tombow on there. Now I'm going to get a scrap piece of paper because I need to get rid of some of that glue that's on here because I don't want it squishing out on me. There we are. This is Coastal Cabana. I made a pig card out of that color yesterday. Isn't that cute? I was so happy when Coastal Cabana came back, because I love that color. All right, so one's going to go up here. And it's going to hang over just a little bit. And then one is going to go right over to the edge and down a bit. And the third one goes over here. And it overlaps that one. There we are. Glue hanging out. Put some dimensionals on the back of the sentiment. Little baby dimensionals. My fingers are all sticky. Tumble holds like nothing else on earth, even your fingers. There we go. Oops, crooked. There we go. That's done. So now I'm going to show you the trick to get the fins to stick up, because it's a cool trick. So here's the fish, and we need dimensionals on the whole thing, because I want him all to pop up. And there's the two fins that we need to deal with. So I'm just going to put one on the big fin. And then I've got this little extra piece here that I'm going to use for the little fin. And then you pull the liners off the ones on the fins, like that. And then you put another dimensional on top. You could also use some of the foam strips, because they're a little bit thicker than the dimensionals are, so they'd stand up a bit better. And I don't want all of this because it's too much. Now I have to get it off my finger. There we are. Okay. Alrighty. So now I'm going to pull the liners off of the dimensionals. Humming noise? I'm not sure what the noise could be. I don't have any noise on my end, Valerie. And the furnace isn't on. Is it still humming? Because I think the furnace just went off and I forgot to close my craft room door. So that could be it. Okay, so by doubling, now these are going to stick up a bit. So I'm just going to make sure they're free floating. And we're going to tuck the fish in amongst the bulrushes. I'm just going to pull these. I don't want it over top of that fin, because the fin has to stick up. This is the finicky part, deciding where you want to put it. Down, you get up, and you get up. Come on, over top. There, that'll do. Okay, so then when you push the fins down, because they have double dimensionals on them, see how they stick up further than the rest of it. So that didn't turn out too bad with that fish being that color. I think if I was going to do it, I would take more time and get rid of the rubby marks. So there's the fish. Now, remember I said somebody suggested we put a hook there? Let's do that. Because I can. I'm just getting a scrap of white paper. And I'll get the hook out because I need it anyways. Oh, got it already. Ha! Okay, I'm going to put my stays-on away because I'm not using stays-on anymore. And I get the memento out. I'm going to stamp one here. So we can cut it out and add it to the front of our card if we want. Now the inside and the envelope need to be stamped. I'm just going to stamp on a few hooks. And the envelope. Oh, good. I'm glad the humming is gone. Lesson to me: shut your craft room door before you start a video. Okay, so there's the inside in the envelope. Now I'm going to take the Mossy Meadow marker and go around the outside of this because it's going right onto a piece of Whisper White card base. And this just defines. If you don't want the definition inside, you don't have to. It's not a big deal. That was quick. And remember, when you're doing this, you don't want to hold it this way because then you have a tendency to tip. You want to hold it this way, and you want to hold this firmly in your hand and just back and forth like that. It works. All right, so let's put this inside the card while we're here. Then I'll deal with cutting that hook out, and we'll see what that looks like. Sometimes doing things a bit different is cool on a card, like using the hook on it. So this is a long weekend coming up in Canada. It's called 24th of May weekend, even though it's not on the 24th of May weekend. That's what I grew up calling it. It's probably got another name now, but... And we're going to go camping with our local grandchildren. And then next week, I have something exciting happening. Our northern son is coming for a visit. He lives 8 hours and a ferry ride away from us, so we don't get to see him a lot. So this will be awesome. And he won't tell me whether he's bringing our grandson with him or not. He said it's a surprise. I think he's being mean, teasing me like that. Okay, now I'm going to get the hook die out. Now there's also this hook die that you could just cut something out of cardstock and put it in there. But I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use the one that matches with the stamp. And we'll just cut it out. Layer it on here, making sure I get the best cut possible. Sure, that'll do. Okie dokie. I'm sure that the way you color this matters to a fly fisher person, but I'm not one of those, so I have no idea. So here's the hook. And look at that, we could put that right there. Okay, so let's get out the same color. This is the Cajun Craze that we used on the fish. And I'm just coloring it in quickly. If you don't have the blends, you can always use your regular markers. Now, what? Mossy Meadow. Sorry. That's what happens when I don't put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'm just using the regular Stampin' Right marker because that's what I had in front of me. Just give it a quick color. And something as small, it doesn't really matter because you don't see the color lines on it anyways. Just quickly do that. All right. Now let's see what that looks like hanging out there. Look at that. Look at how cool that is. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't take much to amuse me. I'm trying to get a little teeny tiny piece of Terran tape. I'm going to put a dot of Tombow just on the tip of the hook because I don't want it to be torn off. So I want it to be stuck down. Line her off of there. And we'll put that hook right there. There we are. Card is done. That didn't take too long. There's the envelope and the card, and this is the envelope and the card from the last one. So I hope you had fun stamping with me today. I'm so happy that you I'm so happy that you could join me in person or watching it in the rerun. Thanks so much. I hope you have a wonderful long weekend, and I'll be back next Thursday. And it'll be at 9 o'clock again because our oldest grandson is still swimming next week, and I like to go and watch him. So it'll be 9 o'clock on, let's see, today is the 16th. So Thursday, the 23rd of May at 9 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. I'll be back and we'll stamp another card together. I hope you have a wonderful day, a lovely long weekend. Stampin' Smiles to everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.